Okay, welcome. It is Wednesday, 1 p.m. Ready for your reading lesson. Today we're going to be working from the Syncopation book. Okay, page 12 and page 13. We're going to explore, and I'm going to try to explain, the dotted note. Now, I decided not to start with a dotted half note or a dotted quarter note. I'm going to start with a dotted 8th note, rather. So now, let's understand what a dot does to a note. Before I explain that, we need to know note values. For example, we have a quarter note, 8th note, and 16th note. That's what we're going to be dealing with today. And we're going to do a few different systems of counting. The counting system, hey Paul, the counting system that I will be working with mostly today is a 16th note count. So we're on the Syncopation book, Paul, page 12 and 13. Now, these lessons are designed for beginners or intermediate or advanced readers who want to just revisit or understand my approach to reading. So anyway, we have a dotted 8th note. And like I said, we need to know the value of notes. Now, a quarter note is equal to 2 8th notes. An 8th note is equal to 2 16ths. So what does a dot exactly do to a note? Well, it extends its value. The definition of a dotted note, a dot placed after a note increases the value of that note by 1/2 its original value. So we take an 8th note, 1. That's equal to 2 16ths. Okay, so I have a dotted 8th note. How many 16ths will that equal? Well, by definition, a dot placed after a note increases the value. So therefore, the 8th note is going to equal more than 2 16ths. How many 16ths? By 1/2 the original value. The original value is 2 16ths, so we're going to put 1/2 of that. That's going to be 3 16ths. So I have a dotted 8th note followed by a 16th note to fill or to complete the downbeat. So if I have a run of dotted 8th notes in 4/4 time, I would have this: 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. Hey Paul, before I go any further, I'm going to change the camera view. Let me know what you think of this view. If you like this view better or not. I'll take your opinion on that one. It'll take a couple seconds for it to come up. Anyway, a run of dotted 8th notes. Do you like this view better, Paul? 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and who's this? You like that view? Okay, you can see the hand. Okay, you don't want to look at my ugly face, no problem. All right, let's go to page 12. The first line. I'm going to play the line through its entirety. I'm going to maintain a 16th note count. 1 E, play E. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and the. Now, yeah, we'll do that too, Paul. No problem. Now, the reason why I'm counting in 16th note count is to maintain the spacing between the downbeat. So I'd have 1E, a little faster. I'm going to put the bass drum on the downbeat. 1E and a 2E and 3E and a 4E in one hand. 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4E and 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the E and the 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4E and 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4. Now, with the first line, I mean, Ted Reed does this really brilliant. He just moves over the dotted eighth note each downbeat for 4 lines. Then he extends it on the 5th line. So let's just stay with the first line for a minute, okay? Now, for those who frequent my site or are members of my site, they know what I'm going to do next with fill-ins. We're going to make line 1 a linear line on one surface. So let me give you the definition again of linear. Linear is a straight line of rhythm. If I'm going to play 16ths, it would be 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. That's one line of a linear 16th note pulse. No 2 voices or 2 strokes hit at the same time. Like if I went 1E and a 2E and a. That's not linear, that's layered. So what we're going to do is we're going to play what's there with the right hand. And we're going to fill in the remainder of the 16th note with the left hand on the snare. So I'm still going to use the snare one surface, but I'm going to emphasize what's there, which you're reading with the right hand. So I have 1 E and the 2 E. I'm sorry, 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the. Now it becomes a hand exercise. So on and so forth. Do we understand that, gentlemen? Okay, now, and another option, and I think it's a fun thing to do. There's a couple different things. The first one, that you have to understand how to read the line, how to understand what a dot does to a note. But we can make this a pattern, a rock pattern, for example. I don't like to refer to it as a certain style of music, but I could refer to it as the rock pattern. That's good enough. Okay, so now what we have, if I did 16th notes on the hi-hat, let me see how this view comes on here. If I did 16th notes on the hi-hat, alternating strokes, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, E and a, 4 E and a, and I drop the backbeat on 2 and 4 like this. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E. And I played a line with the bass drum. I'm leaving that sometimes out. Mauricio, I have no idea what that means. I apologize because I do not speak Portuguese, or nor do I understand it. Okay, so you understand those 3 concepts there. As written, 1 E and the 2 E and 3 E and the 4 E and the 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the, or make it a linear line. We're filling in, not fills, I hate that term, we're filling in the blank, the remainder of the 16ths with the left hand. 2 different sounds on one voice. So we're going to have this on one voice. Or we can move it around and move the right hand between the toms. Totally different thing now. Reading's a lot more fun. Or we could play the rock pattern. 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4E and the 1E and... Or we could take the ostinato pattern, a paradiddle ostinato, and read it down. Now, let me turn my stick around. There you go. Or the whole stick control book. Example. Let's do line 3 as the line 3 in the stick control book as written is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. But we'll consolidate that to one measure and we'll make it 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and play what's written with the bass drum. I have to move that camera, I guess, the next lesson just over a little bit so you can see my hi-hat better. What do you think, Paul? Coffee time. Now the volume is okay, the video is okay, no more buffering, correct? Paul? You're supposed to be working. How come you're not working? Or you're on lunch? Okay. Now, let's go. I'm going to run down a little up-tempo, line 1 through line 4. Okay, I'm going to play it in its entirety. So if you have any questions, please shout out. Give me a shout here. So I'm going to play them just on one surface as written. I'm going to use the bass drum, 1, 2, 3, 4. Spring break. I wish I had a spring break. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to play it in its entirety. 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4. 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4. 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4E and 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4E and 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4E and E and the 2, 3E and the 4E and the 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4. 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4. 1E and the 2E and the 3E, line 3. 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4E and 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4. 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4E and the 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4. Line 4. 1E and 2E and the 3E and the 4E and the 1E and the 2E, 3E and the 4E and the 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4E and the 1, 2E and the 3E and the 4E and the. Now it's not up-tempo, it's not blazing. Who's this? All right. It's just, I'm giving an example. It's an instructional video. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm just playing what's there. Now we go to line 5, and he does the same thing basically. He extends from the first and second downbeat on line 5, the dotted note. Then he moves it over one to the second and third downbeat. Then on the 7th one, he goes from the 3rd to the 4th downbeat with the dot. Then he mixes it all up on 8, 9, and 10. So let's do line 5. I'll do it slow, a couple measures, and then I'll play it up a little bit. Line 5. 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4. 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4E and 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4. 1E and the 2E and the 3E and line 6. 1E and 2E and 3E and 4. 1E and 2E and 3E and 4. So on and so forth. Are there any questions so far? It's basically very simple. And you could take that approach with the fill-ins on the whole page, or the rock pattern, or moving the accents around on the tom-toms with the fill-ins, making it, you're not really making it linear because you're playing your bass drum 1, 2, 3, 4. One thing you want to notice, or you should notice, is when I'm playing on the one surface, the snare drum, my right hand and my left hand, I try to make sound the same. And I come as close as possible, or if one is a little bit louder, I make the adjustments on the next downbeat. Now, that all stems from George Lawrence Stone's stick control book, the way he intended it to be played, that the right and the left sound the same, regardless of the positioning of the sticking or the attack of the downbeat. Okay, you're enjoying this, Mr. Paul. Very good. I will be back tonight with the jazz patterns, though, on my site. And I will be back here tomorrow for a review of the week. Okay? Now, the dot, just go back over it a little bit. What does a dot do to a note? Well, a dot, the rule is it increases the value by 1/2 the original value. If I have, for example, a dotted half note, that would equal how many quarter notes, Paul? Answer that, Paul. Dotted half note equals how many quarter notes? I love putting you on the spot. Dotted quarter note. Half note, rather, I'm sorry. How many quarter notes? A dot placed after a note increases the value of that note by 1/2 the original value. So I have a dotted half note. That's going to equal how many quarter notes? No! A half note equals two quarter notes, Paul. You're going to increase it. The dot increases the value. So by the original value, you have a half note equals 2 quarter notes. You increase it by 1/2 that. That's the original value. And that gives you the value of the note. So a dotted half note is going to equal 3 quarter notes. So if I have in front of me on a chart a dotted half note, I need a quarter note or whatever else to fill in the fourth downbeat. So if I have a dotted half note and then a quarter note, that gives me the 4/4 time. So if I played the dotted half note and the quarter note, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, not a problem, but you understand it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Dotted quarter note. That equals how many eighth notes? 3. A dot placed after a note increases the value of that note by 1/2 the original value. So I have a chart in front of me. I'm going to have a dotted quarter note, an eighth note, and 2 quarter notes. If I add all of that up, mathematically, I come out to 4/4. So I have a dotted quarter note, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 2 quarter notes, 1, 2. And then today we did the dotted 16th notes. That's 1E and 2E and 3E and E and 1. Now you got to be careful with the dotted eighth note and the swing in the swinger pattern. If I did eighth notes and I want to play the jazz feel or swing 1 and 2, if I'm doing straight up and down dotted eighth notes, 1E and 2E and 3, they're very closely related. They separate. You could hear the difference in the slower tempo. But if I'm doing a fast tempo like 1, 2, 3, 4, that's the dot. Not the dot. I'm thinking of the swung. It's not straight up and down the jazz feel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And if I'm thinking of, at a tempo like that, the dotted quarter note, there's so, the difference there in the feel is so minute that, you know, you can't really tell. 1 EN, the 2, the 3, they're closer to the downbeat. 1 EN, the 2 EN, the 3 EN, the 4, the 1 EN, the 2. And that goes to the shuffle. What is this? Where's he saying that at, Paul? Give him my email. Put it in there, Paul. mattpatella1001 at gmail.com. In case that's what he's asking for. I don't know if he's asking for it. And the other people that are viewing this, you should get into the chat and ask some questions. That would be so nice. That makes me help you a lot better, or you help me a lot better to help you. So say hello. Even if you're my enemy or you don't like me, just say hello. It's nice to have a warm feeling in the drum community. We have our bickering and our misunderstanding. Thank you, Paul. I got to still do something with that. Ahí, Carabinga. There you go. Okay, Mauricio, that's my email. If you need, I believe that you are on my mailing list. It's so, I really wish I spoke every language there ever was. Who's this? Shifty, rather, I'm sorry. Sheep, how are you? And tell me, where are you from? Shifty, what is your first name? So we could, you know, get that together. And if you've been listening to the lesson, do you have any questions? Boy, time really flies. It's 25 after already. Mercy. So tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from. Are you from America, Canada? There you go, Paul. Thanks for your help. The groove blues. In drum, okay. All right, you're trying. All right, a blues groove. I mean, blues, there's a couple different definitions for blues. There's a 12-bar blues, a slow blues. If I'm playing a 12-bar blues, I mean, I could play a jazz pattern for 12 bars. You're from the UK, okay. Okay, UK. All right, that's good, man. I have quite a few people that frequent the site from the UK. Some great players. Okay. All right, you want a blues groove. When somebody, if I'm playing a gig and I never played with the guys before, they're going to say, let's play a blues pattern. So a lot of guys think of a blues as bump, 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 bump. That's what they refer to as a blues pattern. All right? And I don't, you know, if you're going to play the blues, down and dirty, that's what that is. But the terminology, blues, a 12-bar blues, what do we have? Let me give you some examples, like Blue Monk, Freddie the Freeloader, all kinds of stuff. What's the other Miles? I forgot the names, but you know, I hear the song, I play it right away. But that's usually a blues pattern. Now, I'm sure, Shifty, that you're a seasoned player, or how are your reading skills? How do you feel? I mean, is there anything in particular you would like for, say, next week? And Shifty, if you email me, I will put you on my mailing list. I will give you the agenda of next week and whatever PDFs that you need. Monk's Blues, okay, that's a blues. Or a blue monk is what you're calling? Blue monk, is that what? Ba-ba-doo-bam. That's a blues, that's a blues, that's a tune, that's a blues, 12-bar blues. But down and dirty, you're playing a blues. you know, like from the South Savannah or Mississippi or New Orleans or down and dirty blues, slow blues. So that's the term. Does that help you out, Mauricio? Marcio? I'm going to call you Mr. Israel. Okay, time is up, gentlemen. I'll be back tomorrow on this site at 1 p.m. And what I'm going to do tomorrow is kind of review, what's this? Yeah, well, that's what that is. I gave you that, Mauricio. All right. What I'm going to do tomorrow is I'm going to do a review of the week. So, Shifty, if you want the PDFs that I have for the week, email me. I'll send them to you, and I'll put you on my mailing list if you'd like. All right, Paul, we'll be back tonight. I'll be back tonight at, hold on. Hey, I hate these computers. Now, I will be there tonight. That's the location of the stream on Monday night and Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I've been trying to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on this YouTube channel. So if you want, you can come visit at any time. I'm broadcasting. If you have suggestions of things that you would like me to go over, or you're not certain of, a review is always good, whether you're a seasoned player or a beginner or intermediate. It's no problem to revisit your skills. Okay, just send me an email, everybody, and I will definitely put you on my mailing list and send you the agenda for next week. And if you send me now, Shifty, I will send you the PDFs. Tell me a little bit about yourself as well, if you can, in the email. Okay? All right, gentlemen, it's time for Mr. Matt to lock it up until tonight, 7:30. So, with that all